Welcome to Smart Life. I'm Dr. Gina. We continue to cover the story of veteran Marine Sergeant Andrew Tahmooressi, who is now, as we speak, stuck in a Mexican jail after accidentally driving up to the Mexican border with firearms in his car. We know this is really rough for him, but one person who also has it pretty rough is his mom. So we invited her here today to talk to us about what is happening in the case and how the family is holding up. Jill Tahmooressi, welcome to Smart Life. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing Andrew's fight for freedom.
Oh, absolutely. And so many people are supporting him. I know that his Facebook pages have grown exponentially. I myself just posted a Facebook page for this event a couple of days ago, and it grew to 500 almost immediately. How does that make you feel? Is that something you can even take time to feel in the midst of all of this?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, we are so grateful. Andrew and I, his family, his friends, are just so grateful for every individual supporter who is just stepping up and sacrificing their time and efforts to reach out and let Andrew know that he's supported. And so much of America just wants justice to prevail and the truth to prevail and decency. And so we appreciate everyone. And I just think it's awesome that there's going to be such a showing of support at the border where Andrew accidentally entered. And so he's just thrilled and just awestruck that there's so many random strangers that are rallying to support him.
Now, you're talking to him, I think you told me, at least once a day, maybe a couple of times a day. How's he doing?
He's trying to stay strong. You know, his faith helps him stay grounded and as calm as possible. He's very relieved that he finally has his opportunity to speak the truth before the judge tomorrow. So he's very optimistic about tomorrow, and also trying to be optimistic and hopeful that the customs agents and the military, who will also be present to disclose the accounts of that evening, March 31st on into the morning of April 1st, that they too will be truthful in their disclosures.
Jill, what's the biggest point he wants to make? What's the number one thing he wants to get across in this hearing?
That he accidentally entered Mexico and asked to be allowed to turn around and go back to the border, and that he initially had the perception that the Mexican custom agents, his first encounter with a human being at where he was, that they seemingly believed him, that it was a mistake, and were flagging down an escort car to help him turn around and get back to the border. So I know that he of course, that's the main emphasis will be that he accidentally entered, and he disclosed immediately that he didn't want to be there because he did have all of his possessions in his truck, including his 3 U.S. legally purchased firearms.
Does he feel like he's going to be adequately represented at tomorrow's hearing?
I know that his legal representative will be there with him. I know that he's confident in his own words. He will be speaking his truth, the only truth. So he's confident that he'll be able to speak the truth to the judge.
Well, we are, again, so glad that you are joining us today. I'm going to keep you through the break. We're going to come back with more from Marine Sergeant Tahmooressi mother, Jill Tahmooressi. She's going to stay with us. She's going to tell us some things that you're probably not going to hear anywhere else. We also want to get into what is so unique and special about this Marine Sergeant Andrew Tahmooressi. Well, nobody can tell it quite like his mother, and that's exactly what we're going to have her do when we come back right after this break. Welcome back to Smart Life. I'm Dr. Gina. Just a reminder, you can watch us live in cities around the country on Biz TV, growing all the time. Now on the air in New York, Philadelphia, and Orlando. Biz TV, it's your biz. And of course, you can view past episodes of Smart Life at moneybizlife.com. And we want to continue with Jill Tahmooressi, the mother of Sergeant Andrew Tahmooressi. Jill has been tireless in her fight, very accessible to media. I know you did my friend Wayne Dupree's show. We're pleased to have you with us today, Jill. And what I want to ask you first, because I really want people to understand who this man is. People can criticize all they want about the fact that he took a wrong turn. I would love to see the person who's never taken a wrong turn and actually drives a car cast the first stone on that one. But tell us a little bit about his background. He was a boy growing up, what he did through school, and how he got to where he was at that moment where he did take that wrong turn.
Thank you. Well, of course, I'm going to be biased. I'm a mother, but I would call him the All-American. He didn't play sports. He didn't play supervised or official sports. So not an All-American sports boy, but an All-American. Imagine a boy who just excels in school, very very friendly, fun-loving, lots of friends, driven, always with a vision. And as early as age 17, he had a vision and a drive to be a pilot. So in Florida, the youngest you can have a pilot license is the age of 17, and that's precisely what he did at the age of 17. He actually acquired a private pilot license. So I knew that I was in for the ride of my life with this adventurous young man when I had to strap in watching him, up in the air in a Cessna 152 all by himself doing his solo flight. So it starts, as being a driven young man at 17, a pilot already, graduated with honors from his high school, his public high school in Weston, Florida, had a Florida Bright Scholarship, which is a scholarship that Florida offers to high excelling students. Yet when he graduated high school, he wasn't quite ready to go to college. He said that he didn't want to waste the government's money or his mom's money, mom and dad's money, for any coursework that he wouldn't later use, because he hadn't decided yet exactly what he wanted to study and what he wanted to be. So he then, at the age of 18, after graduating high school, he was a big fan. I don't know how many people were a big fan of The Deadliest Catch, but I think he had watched 1, 2, 3 episodes of The Deadliest Catch. And at age 18, upon graduating from high school, he literally printed a MapQuest from Fort Lauderdale to Homer, Alaska, and drove in his Ford F-150 pickup truck, the one that he actually drove into Mexico accidentally that night. He drove all the way to Alaska, and he was a commercial fisherman for 6 months in Alaska.
And you told me a story about a church service that he attended with you. I believe it was on the 4th of July. Tell us about that.
Yes, so upon returning back from his stint as a commercial Alaskan fisherman, he was back at home in the family home in Weston. It was now July. We went to church as we usually do on a Sunday, and it was a 4th of July weekend, so it was a patriotic with all the different, the patriotic songs. And we walked out, and he said, "Mom, I just got nudged by God. I think I'm going to join the military." And I said, "Well, that's great. I mean, we come from a long line of military, Air Force, Army. We had not had any Marines in our family, but he said, I want to be a Marine." And that didn't surprise me, because when he sets his sights to something, it's all in. It's not half in, it's all in. Just like he went all in and had his private pilot license at 17. I mean, Alaskan commercial fisherman at 18, and now the Marine Corps, the proud, the few, the Marines. So I was just so proud of that decision. And so he immediately began training in like an unofficial boot camp, because he knew that he'd have to get physically fit and mentally fit for the rigor of the Marine Corps. But he did go into the Marine Corps 2008, where he served admirably. In fact, at the top of his class, just like he did in high school, he actually left as a sergeant. He was meritoriously promoted on the battlefield, a very rare accomplishment, February 2012 in the Helmand province of Afghanistan.
And he did serve also 2 tours of duty where he was injured. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, well, being a Marine, you're in the front lines, and you are going into territory unmarked and unprecedented. So he served at the peak of the Marjal-Helmand conflicts in Afghanistan in 2010, 11, and 12. 2 tours in total, and I know his first tour, he was the driver of the MRAT, and they drove over pressure plated IED. And I know that his part of the vehicle had the most impact, and he was the driver. So that was his first violent, exposure to an explosive. That was his first tour, and then his second tour, while he was he was a 50 caliber gunner, so that's the main target on the battlefield, because he's a little helmet that sits in the turret of the MRAT, which all the the Taliban would want to strike that 50 caliber gunner first, so that there wouldn't be, that firepower available. But he was fixing his gun, and he fell off his MRAT, hit his head on a parked MRAT next to it, and was out cold. We're not sure for how long, so he did sustain 2 different concussions during his 2 tours of duty.
And you feel like that might have been part of the reason why he took a wrong turn, although I've almost taken that exact same wrong turn so many times. They have a sign sitting down on the ground. It's very, very hard to see that sign. The way a lot of people look at this is, hey, this guy served 2 tours of duty, not only saved Americans from terrorists that could have hurt Americans, but could have theoretically saved Mexicans from terrorists who could have hurt them as well. What do you think about that?
Well, that's true. Mexico does not send their military to fight foreign battles. So when American military servicemen and women go to fight these foreign battles against the enemy, the terrorists, we're not just fighting for the freedom of America and the world. We're fighting for every citizen of the world, including Mexicans, so that their country is not infiltrated by terrorists. So yes, he was fighting for all of the world, not just Americans.
He admits that he took a wrong turn. He called 911. He told the Mexican authorities when he got there. Certainly doesn't look like any kind of smuggling situation to me, but why did he have the guns in his trunk? That's a question a lot of folks want the answer to.
Well, he had all of his possessions in his truck. So if you can imagine a Ford F-150 Lariat, it's got a front seat and a back seat. If you can imagine his back seat fully loaded with bags of hefty bags, actually. I mean, he was not a consummate packer. I think he probably only owned 2 suitcases. So everything was in his truck, including his 3 U.S. legally purchased firearms, everything he owned.
Yeah, you even mentioned a motorcycle ramp. I mean, all kinds of his worldly possessions, because he was really in the process of relocating and hadn't found permanent housing quite yet. What do you want the world to know? What do you want to happen tomorrow? And what do you want the U.S. government to do?
Well, what I'd like to have happen tomorrow is it's his first opportunity to go before the judge. And in the Mexican judicial system, first of all we've ever been asking for is an expeditious due process, because this is a Marine currently under contract with positive PTSD that had just been evaluated and diagnosed March 12th, just a few days before the accident. So all we've ever wanted Mexico to do is to recognize that they've got a decorated, honored Marine in their jail, to expedite his due process. So what I hope to see tomorrow is that the judge, the only person who can make a decision on Andrew's freedom or captivity, is the judge. I hope that he'll hear Andrew's statement and that actually he'll believe it for at face value for the truth that it is. We are hopeful that the border agents that will also be at the hearing tomorrow will be truthful in what they saw and heard that night. And perhaps there is hope that the judge can just drop the case right then and there, just based on Andrew's statement and the border statement by the Mexican agents.
What do you want America to know that you're just not seeing out in the media right now?
I'm sorry?
What do you want America to know? What do you want America to know that you feel like the media just isn't communicating?
I would say just the risk. I mean, of how vulnerable you are when you are that close to a foreign border. I mean, we're from Florida, so we don't have the sensitivity or that innate feeling of vulnerability when you're so close to a border. I would like America, through public service announcements even, be more responsive to protecting motorists. I think that it was irresponsible of America to have such poor signage.
Yeah,
and I'm appalled that sign on the ramp that he took, the one one wrong turn
Yes.
still has not been replaced. It's
That's
got
right.
graffiti written all over it.
Jill,
We should have hazard warnings.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Jill, that's one of the things that we will work on as soon as we can get your son free. So we'll be at the rally tomorrow. Thank you again so much for being with us.